Welcome to the Healing Manifest, the one true place for you to learn to becoming your best self. Now, usually each week I bring on a new guest where they can share their journey and we can all have a discussion. And there's ways where you can learn to become your best self. This week I wanted to try something different. And I had a topic in mind that I really want to discuss. So I was going to have today an episode where I focus on that. And if this is an episode, as well as other episodes that I've done, are really helping you, the only thing I really want to ask of you is if you can share this, if you can give it a like, if you give it a comment, anything that just helps build the algorithm for us to grow. We're seeing a good, steady growth so far through our episodes. And me and my whole production team, we've been learning so much. So the little things that help us and get us more recognition so we can do bigger things, bring on bigger people, everything matters. And I appreciate everyone for everything that they've done, even just watching it. I appreciate you guys very much. So what I wanted to focus on today is I wanted to have the conversation of discipline and the matters of which that I see that training yourself to having discipline, the different things that I've done, even myself, the different things that I've learned from the guests that I brought on that can help you with growing and developing discipline. So I just want to start off with what discipline is, right? Now, a lot of times we are told, okay, discipline, it's different from motivation. It's a level of consistency. We're all trying to develop some form of discipline. If you look at everyone, they have some form of New Year's resolution where they say to themselves, I'm trying to accomplish this by the end of the year. That's them looking to develop some kind of discipline. But it has been taught to us and framed in a way of what is truly just motivation. So how do we develop these levels of discipline, right? The way I like to structure the conversation, the way I like to frame things is look at discipline in the same way as how you work out. Your discipline itself is its own muscle. So if you think of your level of discipline as a muscle that you have to work out, you start to realize that you can't go to the gym the very first day and expect to have the same body as a bodybuilder that's working out beside you. You have to understand and give yourself the understanding that person worked for years to develop this. The same way how when you see someone who says that maybe they quit an addiction, or maybe you see that they have a certain life that you want. It took them years to develop that level of discipline. So when you look at the things that you're trying to frame yourself to do, that you know is going to help give you better discipline, you need to still at the same time give yourself that grace and understanding that this journey is you learning to develop this muscle. So with framing it that way, I do want to focus very first and foremost that when you're looking to change the way that you work out, the way that you discipline yourself, it starts with a 30-day routine. Now, we all hear about it. One of my favorite books is Atomic Habits, and it discusses how it takes 30 days to develop a habit. How I like to frame this instead is it takes 30 days to develop a routine. The reason it takes 30 days to develop that routine is if you look at it, when you start to do something different. So a lot of times maybe it's you're changing a diet, right? You maybe don't like the way that you eat. You want to change it. You want to eat more healthy. 28 days to 30 days is what it really takes, because that first 2 weeks of you doing it is willpower. And willpower helps a lot with discipline, but the separation of willpower and discipline is when you get to that certain level of discipline, you don't need that willpower anymore. The first 2 weeks is when your mind is able to give itself some recognition that you've stopped doing this, but it wants a little bit of it wants a reward. It wants a reward for not doing this anymore. So what happens is you start to tell yourself after the 2 weeks, okay, I've earned a treat. Maybe we go and have a big fast food meal today. And if you break at that point, it becomes very easy for your mind to start saying, I've earned another break and another one. And the next thing you know, you've broke out of this routine of discipline. Now, when you beat that and you give yourself another 2 weeks on top of that to say, okay, I've beaten this stage of feeling of, ooh, you earned a reward. and you give yourself that other 2 weeks to stay in this routine, you start to realize how well a routine can work for yourself after this period. So that's why I always say it's not so much that you're going to develop a habit over 30 days, you're going to develop a routine. From even my own personal experience, I've gone 40 days of fasting, and it was very easy for me to come out of that routine of fasting when I was done because it wasn't a habit for me. It was a routine for me to do that. I've gone vegan for a full year, and it was very easy for me after I did that year to go back to eating meat because, again, it was a routine that I had, but it wasn't a habit. Separation is that a habit means that it's habitually going to come to me. It's instinctively going to come to me to do this activity, to do this certain thing. So the same way how it is maybe you're someone who showers in the morning. That's a habit. Maybe you're someone who you're accustomed to going to bed at a certain time. Those are habitual things. When you're trying to develop discipline in your routine, those, as it goes hand in hand, these are routinely things that you're going to eventually do. Think of it like if you've ever walked a dog, for example. If you ever walked a dog, you'll realize that sometimes the dog's going to want to pull the leash at certain points of your walk. And it's going to say, I don't want to walk, or I want to go over here. And you kind of got to pull back. You got to constantly pull back to the point that the dog realizes, I'm not going to get my way. I need to listen to my owner. It's the same thing that your mind's going to do over that 30 period. It's the same thing your mind's going to do over that 30-day period. It's going to realize, I'm not fully in control. This person who controls this whole body is in control. And I need to listen to them a bit more. Those are things that help develop that routine for you to grow and get to this certain place that you want to get to. Now, what's going to really help you develop that routine, right? It's very easy to say, okay, going back to the food, for example, I want to have a healthier diet. I want to incorporate more greens in my diet. I want to do these things, right? Maybe for you, you're someone who wants to quit alcohol, or maybe for you, you're someone who wants to quit alcohol, or you have certain inhibitions that you want to take out of your life. These things aren't going to just be, I'm going to take 30 days and I'm just going to do it. And it's that easy. Anyone who suffers from any kind of addiction can tell you it's not that easy. You're going to have days where you're going to fall and you're going to want to restart. You're going to have days where you literally fail at it. But it's a matter of how you frame that failure. If you say to yourself, I took a day where I fell off. Maybe it's you didn't go to the gym. Maybe it's, if you're someone who has an addiction, you had a cigarette, you had a drink, and you say to yourself, because I failed this whole experiment. There's no point in trying again. And you can say that to yourself, or you could say, I've worked very hard. I had this one reward for myself. I had this one slip up. Let me start over again. Let me keep going. But how am I going to get myself to keep going forward? One thing I've learned for myself that helps a lot is being able to, instead of just removing something, it's replacing it. So if all you do is you focus yourself mentally on removing things, you're just going to remove things from what's currently in front of you. You're going to remove it, but not have anything there. And when you have that void, when you have that gap that's in your life, that has nothing there, that has nothing that's replaced it, you're going to constantly look at that and say, I want to fill it. And the thing that your mind's going to want to fill it with is the thing that was just in that place. So for me, when I went vegan, if all I did was try to remove meat from my diet, and I just told myself, instead of having spaghetti with meatballs, I'm just going to have spaghetti by itself. Over time, my mind's going to say to me, I really want some meat that's in there. I have to tell myself, okay, I'm not just removing this thing from me. I need to replace it. So what is it that I'm really looking for? What is it I'm really getting from this thing that I really want? And it was protein. So what I did was I'd replace it with maybe beans, for example. If you're someone who, one thing I'm to this day guilty of is I will just snack sometimes, just a snack. And I will know myself. I have no reason to snack. I'm just doing it because I'm literally just bored. And it's a little gluttonous. But if I really want to take that out from myself, maybe it's I'm snacking on candy or something, and I know I shouldn't be doing that. Let's give ourselves that slow progression. Going back to the workout analogy, let's go from 5 pounds to 15 pounds to 30 pounds. So if I'm eating candy, that's my 5 pound weight. Let me replace that with fruits, right? Let me replace the candy with fruits. That's me moving up in weight. And now I can go from replacing that fruit to vegetables, right? And over time of replacing it, I am at the same time teaching myself discipline in my diet. And I could eventually start to say to myself, I am just eating to eat. And I can now cut this out because I know and I'm now a lot more aware that I don't need this. If all you do at the same time is you just say to yourself, I'm not going to snack. You try to do that at the beginning. You try to do the 30, 40 pound weights when you're just starting. And really and truly, all you can really lift at that time is 5 pounds. You are not going to hit that final goal. Take things in steps. Take things in steps and remind yourself that discipline, like I said earlier, it's its own muscle. It's going to take its own time to grow. So the thing that also helps, I always say, with replacing things instead of removing things. The thing that helps a lot with replacing, it's also the third thing I like to focus on, and that's reframing the mind. If I focus on reframing the mind, it allows me to now say, okay, so what reframing is, it's recognizing, okay, I am taking this thing away. In order for me to take these things away, I need to also change my mindset. So to give you an example of reframing, a lot of times I hear from people who they want to quit smoking, for example. The one place that they find themselves smoking a lot is maybe when they're out and about. And the one place that they feel comfortable is when they're in a social environment and everyone already went outside to have a smoke. And that's just an excuse for them. And they're just like, I'm just going to do it. They go and they do that, right? That is how, for them, that they slip. Recognizing that the thing that you're trying to change, it's a part of a culture that you're accustomed to. And this isn't like ethnic culture, anything like that. It's literally, we're all in our own subdivisions of cultures that we grew up around. These are the friends that we have, the activities that we partake in. This itself is its own subgenre of culture. So maybe I'm something I can relate to. When I was younger, I was around a lot of people who got in trouble a lot. I myself got in trouble a lot. I didn't have the highest confidence in myself because also the people I was around did not have the most confidence in themselves. It really wasn't until I became friends with one of my bosses that I was working with. And this boss actually took me to a really nice, I want to say it was a hot pot restaurant. And I went to this restaurant, and going here, I've never heard of hot pot before in my life. Going to this restaurant, though, it taught me a lot of, wow, these are little things that are outside of what I know, that I never thought of are things that can be done. This person lives the life I never could have imagined to begin with. And it's obtainable. I never understood how obtainable this kind of life was until I separated myself from the friends that I had. I separated myself from that culture. And I started to divulge myself into the culture that my boss was in. These are little ways that reframing your mind can help you discipline yourself. So going back to that example, and even myself, I can use the example in my own journey myself. I was someone who I knew I wanted to quit drinking. I wanted to take drinking out of my life. And it's crazy that the one thing that I needed to do is the one thing that I was doing a lot, and that was DJing. I was DJing every weekend, and the only time that I drank is when I DJ'd or I was around people who were DJing. So I had to remove myself from that. I had to remove myself from that part of the entertainment culture so I could remove drinking. And from doing that for a long enough period, I've been able to, as of recent, go around that again. and just not had any feeling or any care to have any drink at all. I was able to separate myself, come back, go to a party, and have people be like, "Come on, man, you know you want a shot, you know you want to have one, bro. Like it's you, you're three, bro. Like you got to do it," and not feel any temptation. That's a key part of the reframing that's important. If you are feeling the temptation to do something, and that temptation you can still tell has some kind of pull on you, you are not ready to be in that environment. And it's okay to remove yourself. Maybe instead of going out, you go to meditation or you go to a yoga. Maybe those things aren't for you. Maybe instead you play a sport. You do something that takes yourself away from this activity over here that helps you reframe your mind. This is where, and I hear it a lot with the guests that I bring on here as well. They will talk about how having hobbies helped them a lot. Maybe they were in a bad place and they started drawing. I've had some people that came on and they said that they picked up something new. Maybe they went running, right? They had a running club that they went to, but they realized from putting themselves in a new environment and replacing the environment that they were in, replacing that subculture that they were a part of to a different one, it allowed them to reframe their mind and do something new. Change who they are and pick up that new thing that's different. The thing that I realized that helps too is that helps with reframing the mind outside of just the replacing and that correlation of the last step that I was saying. Picking up things as well with your routine, putting yourself in this practice of saying, okay, I want to do this. I need to do these things here. Let me make sure I get these things done. And that's going to actually segue to the last part I wanted to mention here. And that was making sure that you're able to also write down all the things that you know you need to do. That's everything from not just your work, not just the job that you're doing, but also the friends that you have, the tasks that you know you need to do, even around your own home. The things that you know, if you don't do these things, you're going to mentally feel like, you're going to mentally feel an anxiety. You're going to mentally feel strained if you don't do these things. Write down those things and ask yourself, what are the things I want to do the least? And I actually learned this. It was something that Mike Tyson himself said when he was boxing. He would do this and he would do the things he didn't want to do first. He focused on doing all the things he did not want to do because he knew if he could at least get that out the way, he knew he was getting himself stronger. One thing for myself, I don't like waking up early in the morning, but I will wake myself up early because at least I know I was able to tell myself I can beat the feeling of what I don't want to do out of my head. Something I've been doing a lot. I've been able to, as a DJ, as a producer before, I was able to work in chaos. I could have a messy home. I could have a million things going on around me, and I was still able to work. And I have recently been telling myself I'm going to now make sure that before I work on anything, I'm going to have a clean environment. What's the simplest thing that we do on a regular basis that we don't want to do, that we don't realize we don't want to do? The simplest thing. It's after we finish eating, we tell ourselves, I'll do the dishes later. Let me just put this in the sink. I'm going to do it at a different time. And this is where, we end up having plates that are in the sink, right? We have a whole bunch and we have to do it at a different time period. But when you're able to tell yourself, okay, I actually have the time to do it right now. Let me do this right now. It's such a little thing. But the thing is, it's such a little thing that we tell ourselves that we don't want to do right now. But picking up that little thing and just doing it, it's a 15-pound weight to your 50, 100-pound weight journey of discipline, of doing. And let me tell you, as I've done that myself, of just saying to myself, I'm going to do the cleaning right away. If I have the time, I'm going to do all these things right away. As I've picked up this as well, It's shown me how much discipline I can have. It's shown me the progression that I can have, but also it's helped me work in a lot more clear of an environment. I look at a lot of the things that I did, a lot of the ways that I worked when I didn't do it before, and there was level of anxiousness to me in my work when I wasn't doing this. As I took this away and I started for myself say, okay, I'm going to do all these things, that anxiety, that anxiousness is slowly going away. A lot of the times the anxiety that we have, it's not just something that's, well, I have anxiety and that's it. A lot of the times it's the little things that are around us. It's our addiction to our dopamine. It's our addiction to not doing the things around us. It's our environment that's causing the anxiety subconsciously that we ignore. So as you look at these things that I'm speaking of here right now, when you create the routine, you replace things instead of removing it. You reframe your mind and you start doing the things that you never wanted to do in the first place. You start doing things you did not want to do. You will learn that you're slowly going to be developing these discipline muscles. In the same way, and trust me, it's for all of us. It's not something that's going to happen overnight for you. The same way how becoming a bodybuilder is not going to happen overnight for you. But I promise you, if you speak with any bodybuilder, a lot of them just focused on one thing when they started. Maybe for a lot of us guys, we like to focus on arms and chest. They started focusing on that, and as they focused on that, they started wanting to focus on abs. They wanted to focus on legs. The same thing's going to happen with your discipline journey as well. You may not want to wake up early in the morning. You may not want to switch up your entire diet or pick up a book and do certain things every single day. You may not have the time to even possibly do that at the beginning. But as you work this muscle over time and as you decide you're going to focus on building this, over time you're going to be getting better at it. See, all the things people want to say when you see these videos that say, do this one thing to become more disciplined, do this one thing to change your life. It's one piece. It's really just one squat. It's one leg day workout to the overarching body of your mental and your disciplined body. So if this is something that helps for you, or you have other things that you want to focus on, you have other things maybe you want to go over when it comes to discipline and learning these things, definitely feel free. Please feel free to give a comment below for us to look at other things that we can do. If you like the framing of this episode, where I focus it outside of just an individual journey, but I focused it on as well things that can help you, please give it a like, give it a comment, let me know what you want to see. I am all about with this podcast helping people. I'm a believer that if you're just watching things go by and you know you can do a difference, what are you really doing in the long run? You're just being a bystander. And I never wanted to be a bystander on the mental, physical journey for other people, especially when there's things that I've picked up with other people I've talked to. So anything that you guys would like to see, definitely let me know. I appreciate everyone for all the time that they spent. Feel free to go back to the other episodes that we've done as well. Pick up different things. Let me know what you guys like. Thank you guys so much. Please give us a follow. Take care.